Hey there, welcome to a year of Trek. I'm Mish, and I'm a Trekkie, and so are you if you're tuning in. So, on today's episodes, we watched A Private Little War and Return to Tomorrow. Um, so, little bit better episodes today. Sorry I wasn't on yesterday. Life happens. I will post a video for that later. Anyway, so let's get into A Private Little War. I've always kind of liked this episode. This is the episode where we get into we're introduced to the Magato or Magatu, or however you pronounce it. There was a what was it? There was a Lower Decks episode where they had the Magatus, and of course the joke was you have, like, it was pronounced differently every time. I thought maybe, and Rob had suggested this. I thought maybe that there was an idea, maybe it was pronounced differently throughout the episode. I didn't notice that. So honestly, the Lower Decks episode, I still don't get that joke of it being pronounced differently every time. So anyway, Private Little War. You've got Kirk going back to a planet where, as a young lieutenant, he had he commanded his first away mission, and made a friend. So, and he kind of saw this as like the Garden of Eden planet, because everybody was very not naive, but they were very young in there. Everyone was peaceful, and then all of a sudden, boom, the villagers, they have long guns. So Kirk ends up running away, or he ends up distracting one of them, and they run away. And this is towards the beginning. Spock ends up getting shot, and it's really bad special effects. He's basically got green paint on his shirt, but it looks like he got shot through and through, because he's not only green paint on the back, but green paint on the front. So so that was pretty good. He mentioned, so when he mentions that it was 13 years ago and he was lieutenant, and I'm sure somebody knows more information on this than I do. Was that aboard the Farragut? Was he on the Farragut? Because in a previous episode, the Obsession, we learned that 11 years prior, he was, half the crew on the Farragut died, and he was lieutenant then on his first space mission. And I'm just assuming that that was his first assignment after getting out of whatchamacallit. So 11 years ago, we had the Honey Smoke Monster, and then 13 years, 2 years prior to that was this mission. I don't think that they were really playing like good continuity back in the 60s. So now we meet Tyree. Tyree was Kirk's friend that he met, the native friend, and he has this hot gypsy looking wife, and I can't remember what her name is. I didn't write it down, but she is considered a Canutu, who is like the local witch tribe, whatever. And it's so funny because he's they're talking, and he says, I took you, basically their relationship. I took you because you put a spell on me. And then she starts rubbing him down with this green plant that makes him high and horny at the same time. So what plant is this that makes you high and horny at the same time? I have to know, because she did it later on to Kirk, just rubbed him with these leaves. So I don't know if it's like native pot plant that has extra stuff in it or not, but anyway. Let's see. she is pretty much a manipulative bitch. So, um, yeah. Well, I was thinking maybe marijuana. Yeah, just a space version of marijuana. I don't know. And then let's see, we've got, but she is pretty manipulative, and I see two people watching. I got Rob. If you can log in, put your name in the comments. Tell me who you're watching in from. So, and then of course, in getting down to, because they're trying to that's pretty good. Should she ever medical space marijuana card? I think by this time, drugs are pretty much free. I think that or not criminalized. At least I would kind of hope that. Anyway, so Kirk and Spock or Kirk and McCoy go down to the planet and trying to get to Tyree. Kirk is attacked and bit by the Magatu, and so they get him to the tribe, and he's healed. But it's funny because in the fight, we always talk about those really bad Star Trek, those Star Trek combat fights where they have the stand-ins. The dude, like, there's sometimes where the stand-ins kind of look like a character. Like the stand-in for McCoy looked nothing like him, absolutely nothing like him. Like super, I found that extremely humorous. Anyway, so and then when Tyree's woman, as she is referred to, or his wife, she uses the Mako root to help heal Kirk. And of course, it's alive, but it also looks like fake dog poo. It looks like fake dog poo to me. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, so let's get to the point where, because she says now that they've been joined, Kirk will do anything that she says. So I have a question, and I was watching this scene. So she gets Kirk, and she starts rubbing the leaves on him, and they make out a little bit, and then all of a sudden, Mbagatu comes out of and attacks her, and she does this really bad acting job of, oh, help me, oh, and of course Kirk is kind of fuzzy in the head, and so finally, once he kind of comes to, he fights the Mbagatu and ends up using his phaser. Now, because she's this, whatever you call it, the Kanutu, because she's this witch girl, did she plan that? I don't know. Did she plan, like, does she have some type of witchcraftery or whatever over the Magatus to plan that so she could end up getting, because she knew that she saw McCoy using the phaser to heat up the rocks. So was that planned? Was that all planned, and she just used that creature to as part of her plan? I don't know. You know what? I think it was. I think she did plan it. And then of course, she runs away. Oh, okay. Let's see. I feel like she did more because it was excused. It would excuse the poor acting. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I agree with you. Then she runs away. She hammers Kirk, rock over his head and runs away. And then she gets attacked by the villagers. Yeah, she totally deserved that. Like, no question, she deserved it. She didn't deserve to die, but she did deserve to be attacked simply because of being manipulative and, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, going back to that scene of her kissing on Kirk, and Tyree raising the long gun up to shoot, and then like not putting and then putting it down because he's a peaceful guy. Now he wants to because he wants it. He wants them because they killed his woman. So they're totally going to outfit them. Now, shoot, what was I going to say? So I know that this episode, like even Kirk talks, and when Kirk and McCoy are talking about like making it even because the Klingons gave the villagers long guns or basically muskets, and then Kirk is going to basically outfit his friend's tribe with the exact same weapons. He mentions the Vietnam War, not by name, but by location. So we can only assume. And of course, it's 1968 when this is all going on. So that's the Vietnam War is in full gear by now. So, is it, I know, and I know not just me figuring this out. It isn't new that this episode was basically a commentary on the war. So now I think they could have done a little bit better stabbing on killing the wife because, and I've always thought this, because the angle and direction of the knife coming down basically just put the knife into her boob, not her chest. Sorry, she's just going to have a pierced boob. I don't know. Maybe bad choreograph, bad choreograph fighting. Just my 2 cents on that. I've always liked this episode. I always thought that it was, not just the meaning behind the episode, but I just thought it was, I've the Magato, McCoy, actually, it's like Kirk and McCoy actually get to go on a mission alone, mainly because Spock is, has been shot, but I think it gets them out there. And then, of course, you got, McCoy giving his 2 cents all the time. All right, so on to Return to Tomorrow. And actually, was there did not give a start date for this one. It is start date 4211.8 on that one. Okay. All right, so on to Return to Tomorrow. Return to Tomorrow, we are jumping start date, of course, because start dates don't always do it. Anyway, start date 4768.3. This is Kirk, Spock, and what's the character's name? Anne Mulhall, basically Diana Muldaur. They end up meeting Sargon. Three glowing globes, and the whole point is for them to accept the essences of these beings, while the beings create androids and then live their life as androids, because their planet, which was destroyed 500,000 years ago, they were way beyond Earth. So Diana Muldaur, she was really Dr. Johnson. Yeah. Diana Muldaur, she's been in a couple Star Trek episodes. Mainly, the bulk of her Star Trek is as Dr. Pulaski in The Next Generation. Now, I can't say that I don't like Diana Muldaur, even though she got a lot of shit for Dr. Pulaski. I just don't like Dr. Pulaski. I think it was a poorly written character. And so when it comes to her doing the Dr. Mulhall character, not bad. Actually, she's pretty when she's young. Didn't age very well, I think. But we'll get to that, and me bitching about her all through Next Generation when we get into the Next Generation. So Um, I found some comments in this funny. So when Spock is, or when they're all down miles beneath in the whatchamacallit, um, basically Sargon's like, "Oh, my children." He's like, "Oh, why are you calling us my children?" It's like, "Well, because we traveled amongst the stars and planted our seeds, just like you are planting your seed on different planets." And I chuckled because I have a dirty mind, because he's talking to Kirk. And my comment, my this is what he says, probably more accurate than you would think about Kirk leaving his seed on other planets. I don't know. Going back to Dr. Pulaski, yeah, Pulaski was written almost to be an antithesis to Dr. Crusher, older and unlikable. And she may have been written to be unlikable. I know that there was a lot of political stuff with Beverly. I can't even think of the actress who played Beverly Crusher right now. But anyway, as that actress stepped away contract-wise, and then they brought in Diana Muldaur, and then of course Muldaur felt ostracized by the crew. I don't know. We'll get to that in the Next Generation. So back to this episode. Thought that comment was pretty funny. You have to give. Yes, thank you, Yates McFadden. She was hot though in the series, and she has gotten hotter. She's aged very, very well. Star Trek Day, she looked good. Anyway, now we have to give Kirk an Emmy for the scene where Sargon takes over his body for this first time. We've already seen multiple episodes and scenes where Shatner overacts, but this one was good. It's like, oh, air filling the lungs and the skin. Oh, I couldn't help but laugh. I couldn't help but laugh at that one. And then they're all sitting at the table. They're all sitting at the table discussing the possibility of, taking, because they've heard the plan, and they're all like, should we do this? Should we not? And Scotty's like, are you nuts? And McCoy is like, I asked the same question. So in Kirk's little thing talking about how to, did we think that something about the first Apollo mission reaching the moon. So he mentions that. He mentions Apollo by name. So I did a little bit of research, because the Apollo program was going on at that time, or was in the starts. So this particular episode aired, let's see, what, I have it in my notes, but I'll actually look it in the book, because that's one of the things I put in the book is when they aired. So Return to Tomorrow aired February 9th, 1968. Okay. So February 9th, 1968 is when this episode aired. Say, give it a few months before that, when it probably was filmed. So I don't know, maybe it was filmed in December-ish or early January. Not sure when it was filmed, but the first Apollo mission was actually the first Apollo mission that they considered, that they call Apollo #1, is actually dated as the 1st of January 27th, 1967. So, and that was when Gus Grissom and the other two guys, don't know the names off the top of my head, they actually died of an oxygen burnout during a training thing. So NASA said, okay, that's Apollo mission #1. That's the official one. So the second one is actually Apollo #7. That just went around the Earth. And Apollo 8 was the first time that we went to the moon, and actually, but didn't land on it. We actually just went around it. So it was actually the third mission. So I liked how this episode tried to make that connection, because we were getting there, but not exactly on point. So, and then of course it goes into this, and this kind of feeds into the episode where the lower decks episode, where you have the red shirts training to be captains, and all they do is give motivational speeches, because of course this is the episode where Kirk gives those famous lines: "Risk is our business. This is why we're out here." And the first pot, boom, Free Enterprise, because Free Enterprise did a version of that, and yeah, gotta love it. Eric McCormack totally delivered those lines perfectly. Okay, so the character that Spock, or the super being that takes over Spock, he really wants to kill Kirk because he doesn't like Sargon, and so you have yes, they did. So they so there's this whole backstory of basically Spock's super guy trying to kill Kirk and Sargon, okay, while they're building these androids. Now, of course, they get Kirk is already kind of dead, and then and so you have the Spock, the person who's taken over Spock, and the person who's taken over Mohura, or was it Mohal, and they are they're talking over this completed android, or for the most part completed android, and he goes, "Oh, this is the body you're going to take over," and it is this. And I know they tried to make it look fake, but it's this greasy dude, like they've totally greased up his body, and he's got this Adam's apple that's like you can't miss it. And he says, "Oh yeah, Sargon would want you to take the body first, or he'd want you to transfer immediately, and we can always change this to make it look like a woman." And so I'm looking at this dude that, I mean, like Adam's apple from hell, and thinking about the wool culture here. Star Trek, even in the 60s, was totally okay with body transformation or transgenderism, promoting, you got this dude, big old Adam's apple, turn him into a woman. Yeah, totally progressive. And then of course when Anne's character is like, she's like, "Oh well, Kirk really isn't dead because we can save him." And then she's like, "Oh, we have power. We have all kinds of power that you don't even know about." And McCoy's like, "Bullshit." And then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh!" And they had this really cool flame effect. Like it was, you could tell, like I could kind of tell how they did it. They basically took like a gas stove, and they videotaped the gas stove, and then did all their filters and superimposed it. I was like, that's actually kind of cool. And so I don't know, I don't have a gas stove, but I'd like to try and like do something, could, like, of course, they were able to do it in the 60s, and I'm sure I could probably do it on Final Cut. But I was like, that's such a cool effect. I'm going to totally try and redo that. So, and then of course, everybody survives at the end, as they always do, because they made they tricked the dude that was inside Spock, and it was really Spock inside Nurse Chapel and Sargon and all that kind of stuff. You guys saw the episode. But what I think, let's look at some symbolism here. Now, I don't know what the whole moral of the story of this thing. You have a gas stove. Yeah, cool. Okay, we're going to totally have to play on that. Not really sure what the moral of the story is on this story. Maybe that transgenderism is okay and acceptable in the future, so it should be acceptable now. Whatever. I could give a shit, but I think there's some symbolism here with Spock being inside Christine's body because Christine is in love with Spock, and you've got that whole thing. Even in the previous episode where Spock has been shot. And we meet Dr. Mbango, which is he's gonna be brought back in Strange New Worlds, which is really cool. But you still have this love, not love relationship, and that she was willing to take her body and hold on to Spock's essence as this whole stuff was taken down. So I think that was kind of cool. To keep that, and I don't know, and you could explain it that she really didn't have a choice because Sargon and them had all this power, but I think that if given the choice, Christine would have made that same choice. I think that that she loved him so much that she would do what it was necessary to save him. So anyway, just my 2 thoughts on that. There we go. Okay, so tomorrow, Saturday. Don't know exactly what time I'm going to go live. Got a long day tomorrow. I might do it earlier in the day, but what episodes are we going to watch? Whether I talk about them tomorrow or not. Let's get to today. October 2. It's October 2nd. Okay, so we have, it's a 3-episode day. Patterns of Force, By Any Other Name, and The Omega Glory. So we're still, we're going from, we're still all in season 2, but we're really coming to the end. We're coming to the end. We're only like maybe 5 episodes from the end of season 2. So we've been at this less than a month. And we're already towards the end of season 2. So we're going to be watching the movies here really soon and then right into the next generation. So I'm super excited. Anyway, there we go. That is all I have for today. I will see you all tomorrow. And until then, like, share, subscribe, do all those really cool internet things. And most of all, live long and prosper.